No one is a perfect communicator, and I think that's important to understand. So first and foremost, every person needs to go on a might help I turn this right side up, right? Everybody needs to go on a journey to become a better communicator. This is a very good book for anybody who wants to become a better communicator, first and foremost. If you have kids, I think it's also important, right? Find a resource and read and digest it and understand it, and don't read it from the perspective of blaming your partner. Read it from the perspective of Wayne Dyer. Reading from the perspective of looking at yourself and becoming a better communication cater. And Liz, me too. So with that being said, one of the things I believe, again, I am going to stress the point of empathetic listening, because empathetic listening allows you to put yourself in the shoes of the individual that is actually talking to you. A lot of times what we try to do is we try to go into a communication, or go into communicating with our partner, and we already have our preconceived notions and thoughts in our head, and therefore what we're hearing what they're saying through the lens of our thoughts. We got to learn to shut this up for a second and open these up while this person is actually talking. So listen empathetically to your partner, ask questions for understanding, not interrogation. And then just get to the point to where you guys realize that I'm not the most important person in the relationship. The relationship is the most important person. Therefore, everything that we're doing, we're working toward the betterment of the relationship. If we can do that, we can get to the point to where we are progressively growing within the scope of relationship, and no one is using another person for their own edification. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Can't say it enough, but respect, respect, respect. I think when you respect one another, you respect yourself, and you learn to listen more than you talk, then you can have healthy dialogue one with another and learn your bad parts. You are not the cat's meow, so you have some work to do on yourself when it comes to communicating also. Learn your bad parts because you already know your good parts because you're going to highlight those, but learn all of your partner's parts so that you know when they do want to talk, when they do want to be bothered, and when they don't, because that will alleviate you from feeling disrespected. Because when you don't have respect in a relationship, you can't have positive communication. So that's all I have about this.
Yes. All right. Um, how can individuals effectively communicate with their partners in relationships? Like I said in the beginning, it's all about being honest. It's all about being righteous. You have to understand that you being honest with your partner and you communicating with your partner and letting them know the do's and the quote unquote do's and don'ts, for lack of a better term, is what's best for the relationship. You don't have to be an ass about it. You don't have to be mean. There is a such thing as being direct and not being quote unquote mean about it. But being honest and being righteous is where it should start. Shouldn't be any type of manipulation in it at all. Just be honest and don't be afraid to take the L, because if the person that you are communicating with can't fit within those boundaries, then they don't need to be in your life, and you're just wasting each other's time. Just be honest and be righteous, and understand that you being righteous is what's good for the whole relationship. It's not just about you. It's about you and your partner trying to build something bigger than the both of you. Honesty has to be the root in that. Honesty and righteousness has to be the root in that. And I'm gonna just leave it at that.
All right, so I got a lot of the words that I spoke on the last episode that are still like applicable. Um, One of the phrases off top is avoid being defensive, maintain the volume, be objective, learn the language that the other person understands, listen to comprehend, and to change your behavior for the health of the relationship. Avoid the unhealthy competition. Support each other's ideas with the time you've invested in each other. That way you get a return on investment. Ego management is paramount because emotions are valid on both sides, whether the other person accepts it or not. The behavior is going to say how you understand or how you feel. And participation in empathetic listening, taking that from Coach, is the language of comprehension of the other person. That's the most intimate way to understand, and you're gonna have to get your hands dirty in some kind of way. So that's my take on it. That's the terminology that is easy to reference for me, and I think you got to find some different shortcut words to get to your personal code of understanding, so you can be an effective communicator.
So I hear a lot about honesty and communication. I don't know what anybody's saying. Communication is not a complicated thing. It's about being honest. And you know what? Honesty hurts. But you know what? You have to be willing to hear it and take it. And if you cannot abide by that, then you're with the wrong person. Because first of all, when you're going into any relationship, set the boundaries. And in order to set boundaries, you got to be honest. And I'm not talking about compromise. I'm not talking about that person trying to change you, manipulate you, all that bullshit. I'm talking about just straight, this is how it's going to be, right? You listen to what their needs are, and that person listens to what your needs are. You tell them what you're willing to compromise on, they tell you what they're willing to compromise on. But the foundation of the relationship is communication, so there's no misunderstanding. You know, life isn't complicated. It's just we as humans who tend to make it so. And I don't want to make anything complicated. I'm a well-rounded man. I am happy. My life is at peace. If you're coming into it, or any woman's coming into it, believe me, she can't bring chaos, because the same way she walked in, I'm willing to let it go, because I'm not going to compromise my happiness that I spent my life building for that, or her, or anything like that. And I wouldn't want to bring chaos into her life. So I would have that discussion, right? I don't need her to cook and clean. I've been doing that my whole life myself. I could do that. I love cooking, right? And I say to any man, if they're going into a solid relationship, ask yourself, why are you going into this relationship? And if that's the person for you, why are you in the relationship? Why do we even want to be married? These are questions you need to ask yourself before you dive in, right? Because certain people fit into certain categories, right? I have enough friends. I don't need more. I got a lot of acquaintances. Really don't need more. So everybody has to serve a purpose for everybody, right? So if I'm bringing someone into my life, this is why you're here. And this is why I want you. And this is why, and I want to know why you want me. And I think that's how communication starts. You got to be willing to hurt the person, because honesty hurts. So to try to sugarcoat this honesty and blah, blah, blah and all, no, this is how it is. Your breath stinks. What do you want me to tell you? Get over it. Brush your teeth. I don't know. But that's the best way to tell somebody so they get the message. And I believe if you're a person like that, you should let that other person know you're like that. So you sit down and, again, set the boundaries. And once you do that, there should be no misunderstanding. People will make mistakes, yes. Right? People make shallow mistakes in your life. Honest mistakes, right? Because they mess up. And I mess up. I may say, oh, damn it. I slipped my mind. But the solid foundation that you build communication-wise with that person, you know when you're respecting somebody. You know exactly when you're disrespecting somebody. You know. Now, you may want to challenge it a bit just to see if they love you, then that could cost you, but you know. And I believe if you try to challenge somebody in that area, you fuck with the bull, you're going to get the horns. So pick your battles wisely. But don't make no misunderstanding. Don't try to change somebody's mind just to get into the relationship, because it's not going to work. And it's not going to be a healthy relationship. And all this manipulation bullshit about Coke and Diet Coke and going to get a burger and all that ain't manipulation. That's petty stuff. Because that person's going to know you don't eat that stuff during the week anyways. They're going to know you as a man. You know, he doesn't tell me he loves me. He shows me every night in the damn bedroom. I don't need to hear it. And you're going to know. Now, if she needs to hear it, okay, you know what? Pick up the phone and put the effort into that. So you find out, you develop these things as you go. So there's no surprises. But my goodness, communication is not hard. You're just an idiot if you don't want to comprehend it. That's it.
Elevated dialogue is about men getting together, having conversations. We're all different. We all have different point of views. We all have different experiences, and that's okay. Whether you rock with Vic, whether you rock Antoine, whether you rock with Roland, Coach, whoever, that's up to you. Our goal is to not feed you one way of doing things. regardless of where we all in our life, we all had different paths, and we've all had different experiences that led us to being on this panel today. So like I said, we're not here to change your mind, and we're just here to have a conversation, an elevated conversation that pushes past just basic talking points. And we want the viewer to be able to get something out of that. And we feel that if we have different men from different perspectives, then you may be able to connect with one or two or three of us. You may see some similarities, you may see some differences, but either way, you can take the conversations that we have, take them, apply them, not applying them, but at least you have some more information to use for yourself. And you don't have to agree with either one of us. If you don't want to, that's fine too.